So, welcome to Eileen, to Irit and Michal to be with us for a special session about Moshe Eskayo. So, thank you. First, thank you. Moshe Eskayo couldn't be with us, so we are doing like a tribute, and I will share some video, and we spoke about him and everything. So, welcome, Irit and Michal.
Yes, Michal, you go first.
Me? Okay. What do you want me to say? I'm Michal, I'm Moshe's daughter.
Yes.
I'm in Chicago. This is Lene. I don't know, happy to be here. I'm so tired of Zoom, but this is a good reason to be on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Irit, and I'm here in Modi'in in Israel. I'm also tired of Zoom, but I'm pretty much tired of the 30 Israeli students, 12th graders that turn off their cameras and go to sleep. So at least we have people that are awake and interested in being here, which is a nice improvement. And actually, we're back at school, so no more Zoom for me.
Lucky you.
And yes, and I'm happy to be here and see all of you and some people that I haven't seen for many, many years. It's great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And Eileen?
I'm Eileen. I'm in New York. I'm not Moshe's daughter. Although when we used to go places, they always used to think I was. They would say, "Oh, hi, are you here with your daughter?" And he would like, "No." So that's it. We worked together. We worked together for a really long time. We worked really well together. And that's it. I'm glad to be here to honor him and see what happens now.
Okay. So I start always with question about the life and everything. So just to tell the people, Moshe Eskayo was born in 1931. So 90 years old. So wow. Amazing. And now he's coming back in Israel last year from US. And daughter Irit and Michal, can you speak how he came to dance? How it start, when it start, and can you share with us what you know about?
Okay.
Irit, you have to go there.
Okay. Well, from what I know, is he went to the Scouts, the Israeli Scouts, which is a youth movement, and there was dancing, and someone told him to come, and he wasn't really into it, but he went, and that was in Jerusalem many years ago, and that's how I know. That's the story that I was told. With my dad, like, there are different stories that depends on when you ask them, but that's the story that I know. And then from there, he joined a dance group, which was led by Wina Nikova, who was a dancer in Jerusalem. They had a group. There's a building that's in her name still to this very day in Jerusalem. There was a dance group there. They went abroad to South Africa to perform. And a lot of the people that danced with him then continued in dancing, in some sort of dancing. Some of them founded the Hor Yerushalayim dance group. Others went to the students group from the university. A lot of the people that dance there are still in the dance world to this day. That's what I know.
I have a picture from him of South Africa. So if you can see.
Put it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow. I don't even know.
It was,
wait.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah. And of course, let's not forget that was during apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, an interesting thing for him to be going there, right? During apartheid. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if it starts with Rikudei Am or did it practice something else? some dance, some like modern jazz or ballet or something?
Well, I think that it was a Rikudei Am, at least that's what he did in Israel. And then he went to study in Paris some ballet. And then he went to New York because he heard of a teacher named Luigi who taught around Lincoln Center in New York. When I was in high school, I danced with him. I used to go to his jazz school many years later. And that's how he got to New York, because he went to study jazz.
I heard that he went, did he go to Paris? Did he go to the US, stopped in Paris, stayed for like a year, went back to Israel,
That's
and
what I
then
know.
left again on another boat, right?
Right.
I think all by boat, and then made it to Manhattan.
Right.
And
I thought that Rina Nikova was a ballet instructor, but that's the feeling that I had from him talking. I'm not sure.
okay.
I think it was ballet, but I think it was something that was something that had to do with Israeli dance too, because they went like to represent Israel when they went there to some festival. So they must have done some combination.
Okay.
Yes, I hear that he's doing something in New York to represent in the festival, to represent Israel and to dance Rikudei Am in the beginning in New York. Something I read something like
I
that.
I know that he prepared something for the festival, and it was a stage performance of Shibboleth Paz. And then after they performed it at the festival, he changed it into a circle dance so that it would be a dance that people could do instead of just on the stage. So I think Shibboleth Paz was his first circle
Yes.
dance
Choreography.
he did.
Okay, so I'm going to the dance, and I will share some video. And can you speak about his first dance, popular dance, Eileen, or
His first what?
His
dance?
first popular dance?
Yes.
First, I don't know. I thought it was Shibboleth Paz, but
I think it was
I'm not
Shibboleth
sure.
Paz
First
as
dance or
well.
the first popular dance? I think the
That
first
makes
dance.
it does
It
make a
can be
difference.
the first popular or something.
I think
I
it was Shibboleth Paz. That's what I know.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's from his first album.
Okay, because I have Hayir Be'afor and Al Gemali in 1970. So I think Shibboleth Paz was
Yes.
before. Yes.
I think so.
Okay, I have some video to share, and if you want to speak about the dance, or we'll go through, and we can speak about some dance like Debkagid and Shira Ratuna and Ilut Sipurim and Fro. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm looking to share.
You want to show the video?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I know with Ilut Sipurim, he had gone to a movie theater, and it was a French song that was in a movie, and he loved the music, and he went back to the movie theater with a tape recorder and recorded the song in the movie theater.
Yes, it's a French.
And then
it's a French song.
Right, it was a French song, and it was in a movie, and he recorded it there, and he went home and made a dance to it. I know that.
So I try to share the video of Hayir Be'afor.
Feel that.
העיר באפור.
Ilut Sipurim, the original. I think the song is not good. Better?
Much better.
Yes.
Never heard it in French.
Okay, now start to the dance. Go to the dance. Okay, now the dance. So Ilut Sipurim, it's from, I think I recognize the gymnasium, it's from Munich.
And I should have known much better to dress better all the time. That's all. Just saying.
So do you have some story about Ilut Sipurim or for Ramot or Gid or well, what?
Eileen, you tell the story about Gid.
About Gid?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously before Moshe did any dance, we used to practice it and go over it and make sure that we all knew all the pieces of it. So we used to record it as we were working on it so that we wouldn't forget what was being done. And one night, it was before, I don't remember which camp it was before or what anything. I had probably Donnie videotaping Depka Gid in the basement, and we were doing the dance downstairs in my basement, and there were cabinets behind us. And as we were getting through the dance, I mean, it had no name at the time. As we were going through the dance, we heard like a big popping noise, whatever it was. I thought he had kicked one of the cabinet doors closed. And all of a sudden he stopped dancing and I was like, what was it? And he actually tore his Achilles tendon on that dance in that step moving back. And that was horribly captured on video. And that's how he named the dance, because Gid is an Achilles, it's the Achilles tendon. And he named the dance after his accident, which was horribly caught on video. And the first time we watched it was okay. And the second time was like, what was that? And now it's like really like, you know what's coming, you know what's going to come, and you hear it, and you go, but that was it. So, if you ever want to see anybody tearing their Achilles tendon, I'm sure you have the video.
The video, I just put a link to the video in the chat. You have to have kind of a strong stomach, but it's there if you want it.
Thank you,
And I think I actually said to him, I thought you kicked the cabinet. It was, yeah, it was.
So I'm sharing now the guide for people. If some people doesn't know only the dance, not to dance it, but the dance in general, because something very special, I think. And can you share with what is the most important for your dad or for Moshe when he created a dance? It's the rhythm, the melody, the words, or I guess is the reason because the car, but and you
I think the melody. I
melody.
think that the song was the most important. He always said that the music makes the dance.
But he also always
He always
made the dance before the music.
ah
Like he also used to, he used
True.
to, sometimes he would just have a bunch of steps and he would
right.
save them. And I know that with Debka Chaim, there are 3 different musics to that
Right.
because he made the dance. He loved the dance itself. He made the first music and then he changed it to the second music. And then when he heard the third music, he goes, oh, this is the music I've been waiting for that dance. And he didn't mind having 3 different musics to one dance.
The first music he couldn't get the rights to put on his album.
You know, so it was just interesting. I mean, like walking with him in the street or standing on line with him in a supermarket, and he would be dancing.
Waiting for the elevator.
Like,
he made lots of dances waiting for the
elevator, train stations,
and
he would just break into some steps and he would say, here, remember this, which is why we kept recording things that he had. And he had different pieces of everything. But what I think some of the brilliance, and I'm going to say brilliance, of Moshe is that all parts of his dance related to the dance. Like they were all based on a theme. And when he finally got everything together and he put a dance together, the dance always made sense. And he never put in a cha-cha step because he was missing 2 beats or something like that. He always made everything work so that it worked really, really well within the music. And I think that's why some of his dances are just timeless now, and they always will be timeless because they actually make sense.
The Karaim, the version we know. It's a dance I really, really, really love. in the chat, Larry share a lot of different version or different links about the dance of Moshe Eskayo. So if people want, I will share again after the Zoom. I will share to the audience everything. Everything is on the chat. I will share after the Zoom because it can be interesting. So we spoke about the Kagid, the Karaim. Can you speak about Ramot? Because I think it's one
I'll tell you about Ramot.
Ramot.
Ramot?
Yes.
Ramot was named after my first apartment that in Israel. I just lived in Ramot. It's the name of the neighborhood. The neighborhood didn't exist when he lived in Israel. It was Jordan. So it was then relatively new, not so new anymore. I lived there. I bought the apartment in 1986, and he named the dance. The music is Lebanese. He got it from, I think, a friend of Edie's living in California. Some professor in a university in California who was also a musician gave him the music. I think that's what I remember about the music. I think it was the first dance to be danced of his in Israel many, many years, after many years of them not teaching his dances in Israel, at least not formally. There were workshops for new dances, and they refused to put in dances that were made abroad. They said that people living abroad like Moshiko, Israel Yaakov, Shlomo Bachar, my father, Danny Uziel, couldn't make Israeli dances because they were living abroad. But when Ramot came out, there was so much pressure on the leader of these Ishtalmuyot, workshops, that he finally asked me to come and teach the dance there. So I did, because everyone had been doing it. The whole country was doing it, but it wasn't legally an Israeli dance. It wasn't formally an Israeli dance in Israel, and but that was the end of the boycott.
You know, I think it's still the same for people from abroad from Israel. It's still the same now. It's
yes, you think
You would know.
right. Yes,
You would know.
it's hi Johnny.
So that was the dance.
Hey,
That was the dance that
great to
stopped
be
the
here.
boycott of the American Israeli choreographers. And then, like 2 months later, I taught at the same place Shavnu or Achot Lanu Ktana, or one of Israel's dances that was also a big hit at the time, but they didn't formally introduce it in Israel. But people that had come back from the States were doing it, and they were doing it all over the country. So then that was like,
By
that was
chance, all these dance
the opening
from
of
Israel Yakovi or Moshe Eskayo or Shmuley Govari, or they came before in US and Europe before Israel. So we know the dance before Israel. So it's
true.
and all of
Yes.
these dances are great. So we can say we are lucky. Hi Johnny.
Yeah,
To introduce Johnny.
Ramot,
How are you?
I think
Good to
it's
see
still
you.
one of the popular dances that's done all over in Israel.
Yes. Hi, Johnny. Johnny, it's one of the famous dancer all over the world. In Depka, she knows everything. She amazing, Johnny.
I had great teachers. I had the best Jebka teacher. What can I say?
Yes. So I'm sharing now the Karamot, also from Marol Miami. I'm sorry because the video is not, it's from VHS cassette and it is not so good, but I prefer to share to people who are not with me before. I prefer to always to share a video from the choreographer than someone else. It's I think we can see more the style, and even you have a good dancer, I think the most thing is to do the original style. Rebecca Ramot.
Can I say one thing about that dance? Can I just say one thing? You know, I said before Moshe has a theme for all of his dances. Well, in this dance, you know, when you touch your foot and you go da, 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 I've noticed, and I know that, well, I know Moshe used to notice that that turn is on count number 3 and not on count number 5. And most people turn on count number 5. And I just want to put it out here when everybody is listening, all of you professional dancers that know the dances, if you want to do Moshe's dance correctly, whenever you do the da, 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 and count in part 3 and in part 5, the turn is on count number
Yes, and
3.
everyone in Israel always
That's
tells
it.
me that I'm wrong.
I know, and it drives me insane. And people watch Moshe, and in front of him, they, well, you know, they do it on 5. The count is on count, the turn is on count number 3. Thank you very much.
Eileen, this point is explained in detail on the HorrorWiki page. I put a link in the chat. It is emphasized that, but I will rewrite it to say that Eileen says especially you must do it this way.
Especially, it would be a very great honor to Moshe to have everybody turn at the right time, at the same time. Okay, I've said it. I had
No,
to.
thank you, Eileen. Moshe was always very specific about that.
And you know what? He really wasn't picky about everything, because Moshe always said he used to hold on to his dances after he made them. He didn't put them out there. Like, he didn't finish a dance at night and teach it the next morning, because he always said to me anyway, before I teach a dance, the dance is mine. As soon as I teach it, it becomes the people's dance to do with what they want. So he liked to dance his dances for a while before he taught them, while they were still done the way he wanted them to be done, which was really interesting. And with Ramot, that 5th count thing, he was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. So, that was it.
Thank you. So we have also with us in the chat, in the Zoom.
Where'd Larry go?
He just disappeared.
I just
Come
disappeared
back
because
down.
I want to introduce Ella. Hi, Ella.
Ella.
Oh,
I see her now. I haven't seen her in a while.
so
Hi.
Hi, Ella.
thanks
Hi, everybody.
for being with us. And we come back when you can speak with you if you want. She's doing her.
I'm watching.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Ella. So we're back to something a bit different. It's a question for you, Irit and Michal. How was your dad when you like a dad when he was teacher and choreographer when you were children? How was the atmosphere? I don't know. It's with the camps.
He was our chauffeur.
I suppose you go to the camp with him and everything. It's not a regular life for children.
True.
I mean, I learned how to play sheshbesh backgammon from Mihai David and Tom Buzikian, and the story goes is that I would bet his falafel every time I lost the sheshbesh to Tom and Mihai. I do, yeah, Mihai. And I don't know, I mean, I think he prided himself on being our chauffeur because he did not have a typical 9 to 5 work schedule. He did chauffeur us around, to elementary school, picked us up downtown my first year of high school, which was Irit's last year of high school. And then I got on the train. He was never a timely person. And I remember waiting for like hours, just like, somewhere in Riverdale waiting to be picked up from school. And he cooked a lot. I mean, he cooked, his, chili for 1,000, hummus for 1,000. When I went to college, he would send me up, when I had a car my last year, and he would send me up with like a vat of hummus, baba ganoush, falafel. I had, instant friends. Right?
Yes, it says in the chat he called Bimington.
That's right, Bimington. He's like, who do I make the check out to every fall? It was his turn to write the check to Bimington.
Well, before camps, we used to empty out my kitchen sink, and he would actually mix up hummus in my kitchen sink because we didn't have any bowls that were big enough for as many people as he was making it, and we just would up to his elbows in hummus. We always had to go to Atlantic Avenue to buy the chickpeas too.
And I guess I learned to cook from him because I had a Seder of 6 people a couple of weeks ago, and I made enough food for 25, although I only invited 6 to my Seder.
You never could tell, maybe someone will show up.
You never know.
He was definitely a good cook. I remember him, he's very creative, not only with dancing. So every time we had a school project, he did our school projects. I mean, I had to make a model of the Knesset building, the Parliament building, the Israeli Knesset, and he built it all night. He built it out of like cardboard and toothpicks, and he painted it, and it was like a perfect miniature of the Knesset. We had to make all these projects that we did for school. He did them. He did all the artwork on all the projects. We always had the best projects. And as Michal said, he didn't have a 9 to 5 job, so he could stay up all night doing our projects. We would leave him in the evening, and in the morning we would wake up and our project was done.
He used to typeset those brochures, and before we moved him to Israel, and I was cleaning out the apartment, I found the original, a whole briefcase of, and it was like a factory getting the brochures done. So he would typeset every
letter.
And then some parts were typed and then
Glued.
printed.
Glued. He would cut
Glued.
out. He would
But
out
like
something.
the words of like
cut it and
IFC,
paste it and go back to Staples.
it was printed and then glued, and then we would sit at the table for hours, fold them. I mean, I always messed up because I was young. I would like put the stamps on the wrong way, or address the envelopes upside down. But like,
Early days
it was a whole factory of
Yeah.
mailing out it was a big part of our childhood, mailing out the brochures.
Those
Yeah,
early
our
days
mom
were
she used to type the labels on like carbon copies of labels that had like, you know, once you type them, they had a few copies, and then Michal and I would put them on the envelopes, and we had sponges to glue the envelopes and fold them and put them in. We had to fold them perfectly. I fold everything perfectly ever since then. And yeah,
But
that was,
I did learn how to stuff like 1,000 envelopes in no time at all. You know, when you go like this with the flaps and you make them one inside the other, then you fold them all out and they're open, then you turn them the other way and you stuff the letters in that way. It was great.
yes. And I remember we used to do lots of work for camp. We used to get to camp early and cut out things and put posters on the walls and cut out dance figures and cut out letters. And we used to go like a day, even before Eileen, we used to cut and glue. And then we went off to college. I went to Israel, Michal went to college, and then you ended up cutting and gluing and
Oh my
pasting.
God, my entire house was a factory.
And our house was a factory, and then it moved to your house and your basement. And
What went on here?
Yep, and then Benny got all the lighting, and it became much more professional. And
You know, my boys, everybody was involved. It was my brother and my sister-in-law. It was their summer vacation. They used to take vacation to come work like round the clock in camp. That was their vacation.
That was our vacation, our entire youth.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. We used to start working on camp. The day camp ended, we had a debriefing, and we already started on the following year's stuff. It's crazy.
So you have to share the recipe of Moshe first. People ask for a book.
There are no recipes. There are no
I have
recipes.
recipes. I wrote them down because I used to watch him. The recipe was this: put in the onions, add garlic powder, then cut up a head of garlic and put in the garlic. And then you fry this and you put in some more garlic, and then you sprinkle some more garlic in it.
and a lot of oil.
A lot of oil.
And a lot of oil. But it's okay, because Muti always says that I don't put enough oil in my fish and everything. And he says, if you want it to taste good, it needs a lot of oil. My grandmother, my father's mother, at the end, when like we used to finish eating her chamin on Shabbat, like there was like a whole bottle of oil left in the pot after. But I guess that's why it tasted good.
I don't know. I made this weekend, actually. Moshe's pot roast. It says, cut up onions, put in a pot with oil, add a full head of garlic cloves. Add some soup mix and garlic powder. Then remove the onions and add the meat and sprinkle with garlic powder.
When do you think he moved
onions
from
back-
real onion and garlic to onion powder and garlic powder? When was that transition?
I made this weekend. And add garlic powder.
You used to send me garlic powder and onion powder to Israel from Costco, big bottles.
So, Eileen, I would like to come to you, and can you speak about how you meet Moshe Eskayo, how you start to dance with him, to work with him, and how was to collaborate with him?
Okay.
Lot of questions.
Okay, so I met Moshe Eskayo the year of Ramot. So whatever year Ramot came out, was it 1985? I don't know, whatever year that was the year that I met Moshe.
I moved
it
in,
was
I moved in the
Y.
house in 1986, so it had to be later.
Oh, okay, so that was it. But
It was 86.
I had gone to the Y for the very first time, the 92nd Street Y. I'd gone there for the very first time, and people had just come home from Horek Shalom, and they were doing this dance, this incredible dance that I thought was amazing. Now, at the time, I don't know if anybody could remember this, but there weren't sets of dances. You didn't have a regular partner. After every dance, you would be looking like this to find a partner for the next dance when they did couple dances. Everybody switched after every dance, believe it or not. Do you remember that, Johnny?
It was nice, yes.
Yeah, okay.
There were
So
no sets.
I was a young, well, I wasn't that young, but I was a young, new to dancing, and I was very intimidated by all this changing couples and everything. And I was a married Orthodox woman who felt really uncomfortable about switching partners and keep looking over everyone's shoulder to find partners all the time. So I like to have a steady partner that I didn't have to go looking for people. And the partner that I had been dancing with at the time left to go and join up with a group called Up With People, or People Up. It was a dance group that was traveling, and I was looking for a partner. I was actually looking for a partner. And when Moshe asked me to do a dance with him, I said, you know, I'm looking for a steady partner. Which I can't believe I actually said to him. I said, I'm really looking for a steady partner. I don't know. And he said, well, let's see how you dance and we'll see. And then I guess I passed the test, and he said, okay, I'll dance with you. And I was like, well, okay. And then he actually taught me how to dance. And so he ended up becoming my partner. And it was very good because Up With People, okay. It was very lucky for me because he taught me about pressure. He taught me how to turn. He taught me how to move, and we danced comfortably together. What could I say? It was good. It was good working. And then we started working. We just, worked together. And thank God my family got involved in it. So it was very easy that we were all able to participate together. And we just it sort of developed because he was doing it and we were talking about it. Like when we danced, I mean, since we were steady partners, we would also talk. And so, it just developed into sort of working together. And then when he was teaching, sometimes Moshe was a brilliant choreographer. It is a brilliant choreographer. I mean, I don't think he's choreographing now, but he's a brilliant choreographer. And he would do things. And then sometimes he would say, look, I have these steps, save these steps for me. See how these feel. How does this work? Does this work? How does this feel? And he would just save different sections like da, 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 da. And he would show me the steps. He would like, do this. Now try to do it with the other foot. Does it go? Does it work? We started working together sort of like that. And
you tried the step before the
right, or he would do that. He'd say, how does this feel? Da 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 da. He'd do this. And then sometimes with Moshe, like he would do something and then I would say, what? And he would do it again in a different way. And I would say, oh, do you want it this way? Do you want it this way? So that's why we started recording so that we would always remember. I mean, there was one dance that he actually made. We went once to the beach, and there was one dance that he did, one part of the dance, he made it on the beach. There was another part that he did like in a park once, walking through someplace. He made up one section of the dance in the park. Like things would come to him and he would do it and catch it at the moment and say, try to remember this, try to remember this. Now, most of the time I remembered it. Sometimes I didn't remember it. Like with him, when he got up to teach, he got excited when he got to teach. And so sometimes he just didn't remember what the steps were. So he would sort of look at me sort of like, what are we doing now? And then I would sort of try to do it on the side. But then after a while, it was just like, okay, you just come in and you teach it.
I would like to share some video from the camp you came in France. So in 1996, with Vincent Parodi, and we'll see. I want to start with Shira Ratuna, that you dance with Moshe Eskayo. Did you remember the camp? Yes, I will share.
Excuse
I
me?
will share the video. It's yes, it was nice. So Eileen,
It's so nice to see him dance, though. It's so nice to be watching him dance.
yes, yes, and I have one number one. I want to not a number one. Yeah, we can do all night. Vivaftini.
That is my
Eileen.
absolute favorite dance of Moshe's. It's my absolute favorite dance of his. And after the year that I broke my back in camp, I think it was 2002, I'd broken my back in July. And I was wearing a brace and I couldn't move. I really wasn't supposed to be walking or doing anything. In camp, in Horikaf, we did that dance. And that's when I knew that I was going to be okay. And afterwards I went backstage and I broke down and I don't know, it's just my favorite dance. In all of Israeli folk dancing, not only of Moshe's dances, in all of it.
Thanks
And,
for sharing.
like I give him credit for getting me through my broken back and just showing me that it was going to go good. And that's what that means to me. I'm sorry.
Okay, continue to share something else with Eileen, a dance one she did with.
Moshe made dances like for everybody. He just made dances for everybody. If he knew you, he made a dance to your name. So it said to me at the time, I never made a dance for you. And I'm like, okay. And at the time, my husband, Benny, was getting different types of music that he was listening to. And he was like, oh, I found this music for you. Oh, I found this music for you. And Moshe really liked that piece of music. I don't even remember where it was from. He's like, oh, I like this music. And he took the music and he said, I'm going to make a dance. And he said, I'm going to name it Eileen. And I'm like, just Eileen? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And he did it. And he did this movement that he did there. He said, oh, that looks like you. And this thing, he said, oh, that looks like you. So he put those things in because he thought that reminded him of me, which I guess means I'm.
He also did a dance for your daughter.
You know what?
Like
My
that.
daughter, I have to tell you, he did 3 dances for her. She's the only person that I know. He did 3 dances for her. I think the first one he did was the one that everyone calls Boom Boom, that he named Liat Liliat. That one was interesting. I loved that music. I love that music. And I had brought him that music and I said, Moshe, could you do a dance to this music? And he's like, no, this has nothing to do with me. I don't want to. And so what we did was anytime he walked in the house, I played it. I had it on repeat and I just played it over and over and over and over again. And I just kept the music on all the time until finally said, all right, just stop playing the music. So that's how he ended up with the music to that one. And he just did it. He said he wanted to do a dance for her. So he did that. The other one he did for her was the music is Pnei Malach. He called it Yaldati. Yalda, obviously is girl. So Yaldati was for Liat, which we knew. I don't know whether he ever put that in his note underneath in the notes when we used to write notes, but he did that one for her. And then he also, when we did Shalom Lach Moledet, which he named Shalom Lach Yaldonet, was also another piece of music that I adored Yigal Bashan. I adored it. And I was like, please do something. And that one was like a collaborative thing. And we did that one together. I was like, please. So he's like, okay. And he called it Shalom Lach Yaldonet. So she was the Yalda and the Yaldonet. So she ended up with 3 dances.
By Moshe Eskayo.
Bum bum, bam tirim golo golo, bum bum, bam tirim baga baga, bum bum, bam tirim golo golo, bum bum, bam tirim baga baga.
push you to do a dance, to create a dance?
He never pushed me to do a dance because he didn't need to, because I don't want to say this, like I don't really want to say there's but some dances I have some of my input.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
some dances there were some things, and the dance that actually I did was the dance Rakata. He had done the first part, and I was like, oh, why don't we do this? And why don't we do this? And we did the whole thing. And I actually did that dance. That was my dance.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. So we just said,
because you are working, you work with him a lot, and you can suggest step and everything. We can feel that it's not only him.
Yeah, but I never wanted to do that. Like I never wanted to do that. Like he is the guy, you know. And sometimes I had a step or like sometimes, but I would never say it. The only one was Rakatan. We put that, we said that it was his, and he taught it, and he took it for a long time, and then finally one year he said, you know, this really is your dance. You should really put your name on it. And it was like, okay, if you want to. Okay. And I only said that after he already started saying, well, you know, Eileen made this dance.
תודה רבה לאיילין. Thank you very much. 5, 6, go.
איך אני כל בוקר מסתכל באושר, מסכם בשקט את חיי, רק תודה יודע, תייח את הרגע, תעלה חיוך על דל שפתיי, כל יום כל שבוע באופן די קבוע, אני עוצר מעט רק להביט, איך הכל ניתן לי, כל זה לא מובן לי, אין לי שום מילה עוד להגיד, רק אלוקים שיושב שם למעלה מביט, מסדר את חיי, רק אלוקים הוא רואה את הכל בזכותו, אני כאן, אני חי. בריצות האלה די קשה זה פלא, אם עוצרים מעט כדי לחשוב, בקשיים האלה אמונה בלב, רק היא תחזק את הרצה טוב, כל יום כל שבוע באופן די קבוע, אני עוצר מעט רק להביט, איך הכל ניתן לי, כל זה לא מובן לי, האמונה רק היא אותי תחזיק, רק אלוקים שיושב שם למעלה מביט, מסדר את חיי, רק אלוקים שיושב שם למעלה מביט, מסדר את
She's lucky. And the three of them are good. It's a good dance.
Yeah, she did luck out.
Nemalar is one of my favorite dance ever. It's something different. It's, everything is different with Moshe. He has his own style. It's very, very.
Yes, but again, what is so brilliant about Moshe is that the style in his, and even though he does do different styles, I mean, yes, there are signature steps he has. That backwards turn is a signature style of his. The doom, that thing is a signature style of his. But he stays consistent in the style of his dance from the beginning to the end. And his dances all have themes. It has a theme. The parts relate to each other, and if there's a chorus, they relate to the chorus, and it's just his dances are very well constructed. Like it's just, when you hit it in the right place, it feels like everything is supposed to be there.
Yes.
And there's no unnecessary, oh, I have an extra 2 beats. What should I do? All right, I'll cha-cha a little bit over here, or I'll do something. Everything really fits exactly, because he wouldn't be happy putting out a dance that was not finished to the way that he wanted it to be finished.
Mm-hmm.
The one dance that's funny that ended up surprising us actually was the dance Zingarella. When he did the dance Zingarella, we had the music cut. At the time, it was before I was cutting the music, and we didn't really have access. We used to go to a studio and they would actually play the music onto a tape. And in order to cut the music, the guy actually cut the tape and put 2 pieces of tape together and scotch tape them together, and then he played them. And that's how we did it. It was in a guy's house. It was so fun. He was a Russian guy, and he lived on the Lower East Side. We used to go to his house, and he would just cut. And then you would see him, and he'd be sitting there with pieces of tape around his neck, and they cut the music that way, and it was actually cutting the music. And the night before he was going to teach it in camp, he was just playing it to make sure the recording was good. And at the beginning, there were some extra counts on it. Like, the first time when you do that, where you run in and you jump into the center, that was there. And we were in camp and there was nothing to do. And so he was like, oh, we got to do something. And so he added that run, run, jump the first time through the music. That was a total mistake in editing. So that was kind of funny.
Can you speak about Ole Ruva?
Ole Ruva. Okay. Ole Ruva was interesting. I'd gone to Israel in the summer with my children, and we would go to the beach to listen to the beach. At the time you took the big boom box with the cassettes in it, and you went to the beach, and we would lay out there on the beach, and you had your boom box and you'd play music, and it was fun. And I heard this song that was playing, and I'm like, oh my God, this would be such a great piece of music for Moshe. So I pressed the record button on as we were on the beach, and I recorded it. And I didn't get the end. I had commercials. I probably even someplace still have that tape. And I brought it home and I said to Moshe, you have to make a dance to this. This is just your music. You're going to love it. We had no idea who it was from or what it was from, whatever. I held that cassette so carefully. I brought it home. I gave it to him, and we eventually found out who it was, and he made the Ole Ruva dance to it. It was really fun.
And it's a great.
It was great, but that's how we got that one from.
And
It was
the
good.
dance is great too. It's
Yeah, no, you know what? He has an ear for the music. He could pick the right music. He could pick the right steps, the feeling to go with the music. Although the truth is that very often he had dances or parts of dances saved, and he was just waiting for the music to fit it. I mean, some of the musics that we have, which is interesting, if we played the entire song, you wouldn't, some of his Depka music, if you played the entire song, you wouldn't even recognize it.
mm-hmm.
The way he would get, like some of the Depka songs, that he has a very, very long pieces of music. And so what he would do is we would record them onto the beginning cassettes, and then later onto DVDs 5 times in a row, 10 times in a row. And if he was driving someplace, he would just put it on and play it over and over and over and over again until he was really, really familiar with all parts of the music. And then when he would say, okay, let's take this part and then go down a little further, we'll take this part and we'll put it together and see how it goes. And when we learned how to cut music ourselves instead of going to the studio, it was much easier to do stuff like that. And that's how we did it. And then we tried different cuts of the music and different blends of the music until he found exactly what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. But it's also genius to do like that, to cut and to it's really the most of the new dance now that we do. It's like a regular song, and We just cut what we don't want, and that's it. It's
I know sometimes we tried some cuts and it was like with the words. Yeah, I don't understand the words enough, but sometimes we cut one thing once and he was like, oh no, they just, you can't put the words like that. You have to take it from a different part of the song and go looking for 2 notes here and 2 notes there. It was really fun, especially that guy with the tape. He was awesome. He was awesome. He was, and he always had to cut it on the diagonal so they would be. It was awesome to watch. And then he did it with Scotch tape. It was unbelievable.
and can you speak about one of the last dance who are very famous from Moshe Eskayo? It's Leah, I think. The last biggest.
That I used to. I taught a class in a place, and there was a class. I taught a class in Brooklyn, and there was an exercise class in the room before my class. So there was an exercise class in the room before, and that was one of the pieces of music that they did exercise to when I would come into the class. And I was like, okay, I've got to have that music. Could you give it to me? And so the exercise teacher gave me that piece of music, which I subsequently gave to Moshe. And I said, here's another great one. You have to do this. This is a good one. And also he had some steps already and he did that. And that he changed one small part of that also right before he taught it. It was, the whole dance was done. And then at the end, he was like, what about this piece over here? And he changed that last piece at the end. And it was just fun. It's pure Moshe. It's just pure Moshe. Another really genius Moshe thing.
It is. Do you lead now some session? Not now because it's
right
COVID time, but Do you have some dance session?
So do I teach a class? Well, before the pandemic happened, I had cut down to one class. I teach one class a week in my neighborhood, so I don't have to travel anyplace.
Okay.
It's for women only. It's probably the most fun I ever had teaching a class because it's just women who come and dance for fun. And it's one of those classes that I originally started taking where you have to review every single class, every single dance, every single week. But it's just fun. It's just for fun and exercise and for social. It's not a huge class. It's just fun.
You don't need sometimes big
Yeah.
session, and a small session sometimes it's very nice.
It's just a nice close. All the women in the class have become friends. At the end of the sessions, we go out for lunch. It's just a nice class.
Good. In New York?
Yes, right here in my neighborhood. It's in Long Island. Stephanie also used to be into the preparing for camp stuff. I'm sure that you've got a thing or two to say also with crazy preparation kind of stuff to do. And our house used to turn into a like a production line where everybody had a job of something they had to do, even when we had to make all those envelopes and people would come the night before and stuff.
And
oh,
well, Eileen,
it
wasn't so much at your house. It was when me and Joni, and actually many years ago, Larry, when we would go up to camp before the camp even started, and making sure the rooms were ready and the registration, right, Joni? Registration was always.
Do you remember spraying Lysol into all the bags with the pillows and blankets?
Yes. Oh, preparing the linens, preparing the dance hall, and I usually did the registration. So trying to make sense of Moshe's list was always an interesting challenge. But he was so careful. He wanted everyone to be special, and it was always I was always in the background of fixing this issue or fixing this problem or helping with this, because he wanted to make sure everyone had a great experience at camp. So Joni, go fix this. Joni, go fix that.
The story I have is a lot older, and it's one I've told Michal many times, because the very first time I went to a dance camp, it was a winter camp, and Michal must have been only around 10 or 11, and I called the house and I said I wanted to make a reservation for the camp, and she said okay, and then I showed up at the camp and he said, "Who are you?" Because the reservation never made it past Michal.
You were the fifth child. You didn't need a special invitation.
And also, Joni, it was also the carpooling up to camp. It was getting all those choreographers up there.
Yes.
And back to the city was always an ordeal, and to the airport.
Oh my God! And everybody used to sleep in my house. And then Avner used to have to go outside and smoke. I wouldn't let him smoke in the house. And then he always tried to smoke in the house. So we'd open up the bathroom window and smoke out the window. It was terrible.
Yes, you got every visitor, Eileen.
I remember one ride up to Har Shalom, and Michal and me. Anne was driving. Michal was in the passenger seat in the front, and their cat Pepper was in the cat carrier between them.
You were in the car
in the back seat.
For
we're
that
driving
experience?
up on the highway. And yes, and all of a sudden, like, the car just was stopping. Do you remember this, Michal? And we didn't know why. So we pulled over, and then Anne was able to get it. We got it into, I don't know what town we were in, pulled into a mechanic, and we walked around. And what happened was, because of the cat carrier, the gear went into neutral. But that's what happened. And so I think we were like 2 hours late, and then that's what the mechanic finally figured out what happened, that nothing's wrong. It's just, it went into
Anne
neutral.
called me. I think Anne called me like in a panic.
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
what do I
Yes.
do? I can't move the car. How do I start it? How do I change it? And I'm doing, you know, I have no idea.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, that was very funny story.
I remember taking home frogs from one of the camps. We used to, I once put, it was like one of the first IFC, it must have been 1973, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And I found frogs there at Camp Leonard Leonore, where we were, and put them in a little container, a little jar, and took them home. And I wanted to take the frogs home. And then we had a little red Volkswagen, and we stopped along the way. And then I guess that one of my parents let the frogs go. And the whole way I was like, where are my frogs? Where are my frogs? That's what I remember going back from camp.
So now
Someone letting my frogs out.
now that we're down to the people who appreciate it, I have another story I'd like to share, because I may never get a chance like this again. This took place at Hora Shalom sometime in the mid 80s, and it was in the synagogue, the building they called the Sin Od, which has since burned down and is no more. But we were dancing, and I was dancing next to Irit. I was dancing, holding her hand, and we were doing, just to make it appropriate, we were doing Debka Irit, which I think he had taught that year. And so we're going along doing Debka Irit and having a great time. But in the middle of it, Irit turns to me with kind of a sad expression on her face and says, Michal got a better dance.
But that's funny, Larry, because Michal always said, sure, my sister got a debka and I got a prayer.
The grass is always greener over there on the other dance camp.
But Larry, you got to dance too.
You got to dance too?
I got it. So the story there is that when that was at Sababa, he choreographed it in honor of my 15th birthday, I think, and 20th maybe. But when he introduced it, he taught it first. I remember this so clearly. He taught it first, and I said, okay, so this is an okay dance. And then he got up to make an announcement, and he said, I want everybody to know that this dance is choreographed and named for an old friend of mine, loves Debka's, excellent dancer. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is, and I was on my way out of the room. You know, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, I've done it. We're doing Joni's dance again. I'm going to go get something to drink. And then he said who it was for. And I was just, you know, surprised.
The naming of that was a really fun thing too. How the name came about. There were a lot of other names that were rejected.
Did you come up with that one? I mean,
it probably was Donnie, because Donnie came up with all the names of everything. Like Donnie named Tori Kef, like Donnie named everything. But, you know, but Larry Denenberg, so we went Larden. Okay, it works. You know, so it would always be related to Larry Denenberg.
Moshiko always complained about this. He says it should have been called Debka Yarden, because then it's a nice Hebrew word, Yarden, right?
Yeah, but then it has nothing to do with.
Well, he doesn't care about that. Well, it's Moshiko.
You know.
I wanted to share just a couple of things. I first met Moshe in the 70s. He had rented a dance studio in Manhattan somewhere. And I don't know, he found a group of us, maybe at Columbia dancing. And we had to show up for these rehearsals. I think he was trying to form a performing group. So we had to show up in real dance clothes, dance skirts, leotards, and he would give us this rigorous warm up. And then we would have to do those turns of his for hours and hours and hours. I just remember over and over and over again as he yelled at us because they were never good enough. And I think eventually he gave up on us and he didn't form that group, but that was my first memory of him. And years at the Y and Tamar's and at Chaim and Nita's classic session. And what I didn't write in the chat was that he would sit there and he'd joke, and he was very friendly, and he would say things, and I would think he's mostly joking, and then when he moved and I started to think about it, everything he said was true. He was so incisive, he was so insightful. And even if he was saying it and it seemed like it was, he's just playing, but it was profoundly true, the most simple statements. So anyway, and as I wrote, I really miss him, love and miss him.
Well,
And
I
I'm
can tell you a funny
way that we can try to communicate with him.
I can tell you a funny story about the Shoshana Damari thing. My niece Tali also, Moshe knew Tali from when she was a little girl. She always used to come, she used to help us in camp, and she would take care. She was part of our Kef family, in addition to being my family. And of course, he always called her Shoshana Damari. Well, when Tali was in her teens, she started going out with a boy whose parents were Israeli. And she went to their house once for Shabbat, and beforehand, she, Nurit, the mother, had Israeli television on, and there was a nice program on, whatever, and there was a singer on, and Tali is looking to make conversation, and she says to Nurit, "Oh, she's a very nice singer. Who is that?" And Nurit says, "Oh, that's Shoshana Damari." And Tali goes, "No." She goes, "What do you mean no?" She goes, "I'm Shoshana Damari." She had never heard of her. She had no idea. It was very funny. That was, her mother-in-law wasn't really impressed.
So speaking of other of his pet phrases, Irit and Michal, did he ever use shalosh with you as kids before he started doing dancing?
I don't remember, but he used it now. And it's very funny because at the place that he's at, he calls everybody Eliyahu or Cheskel or Shoshana. So he, that's definitely something that he's taught everyone to say shalosh instead of shalom. You
don't have to learn anybody's name.
Exactly.
You don't have to remember anybody's name. When I first started dancing with Moshe, I actually bought a nameplate that says Eileen in Hebrew, and I wore it because he didn't remember my name. And it took a couple of months until he remembered what my name was. I still have that nameplate, which is funny.
I have another sweet memory from the last time Moshe was in Philadelphia. It was several years ago, and it happened to be, we used to have birthday celebrations every month, pre-pandemic, and it was the November birthday celebration. And I don't think Moshe danced, but those who know Rob from Philly, Rob actually hired a driver to bring Moshe down for the evening and join us at dancing. And he wasn't dancing so much, but he was in the circle, watching us real carefully. And, his birthday's also November, so he joined us for our group photo. And I remember he was giving out CDs, so I snagged one. And, it was really, really nice. And like I said, that's the last time I remember him coming to Philly, because we had him a couple other times for workshops, which were fabulous. I remember when you were there, Eileen, a long time ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a story. My mom and Moshe were good friends, and he called her one time and he asked her if she wanted to come with him to a workshop in, I think it was Philadelphia. She said, sure. He picked her up and they were driving and he got lost. And she kept asking him, where are we going? He said, oh, we're going straight. But do you know where we're going? Yes, we're going straight. And every few minutes she would ask him, he said, we're going straight, we're going straight. Somehow he ended up getting to the place. She was shocked.
it's funny because when he comes to Israel, you know, like his short-term memory isn't so great, but when he would come to Israel and let's say we would drive from place to place, he remembers that was Rina Nikova's apartment and I used to play soccer there, and that's where we used to play, that's where we used to go to the scouts, and that's where this one lives and that one lives, and he would know every single turn in Jerusalem. You know, I mean, he wouldn't know how to do like, you know, other, you know, more relevant stuff, but he does, he did remember, he does remember all the little places, you know, where to go and
Well, on his way to the airport, when he left for Israel, he stopped by here and we made him a little birthday party. And this was all the people. This was the night. This was on his way to the airplane. This was everybody who came for my friends to say goodbye to Moshe in my kitchen. See, yeah, oh, there's the kitchen. And there we are. He stopped by on the way. It's nice.
Actually, he never stopped talking about the party that you all, or I don't know, whoever was there threw for him. And he said that so many people came and all the cards and the albums and he when he got here, he told everybody about it. It was really amazing.
Yeah. It's him, my dad. My dad came to say bye. For those of you who went to Kef, I'm sure you remember my dad. Oh, and there's Michal in the back.
Wait, oh, that was on the way to the airport, right?
That was right. That was on his way to the airport.
Let's just say this: the pandemic is horrible, and the whole move was so hard. But if we didn't get to have, the timing was unbelievable. I mean, if we had to give him a going away, a virtual going away, you would never have understood. It would have been just it would have been horrible. Like the fact that we were able to do an in-person going away, you know, just
right.
Residence that he was in, the day that I took him there, they called me when I got back home and they said, okay, you can't come visit anymore. That was the day that he moved in. And then they allowed me to come once more because, like, you know, to organize the stuff and everything in his room. And then we couldn't go up anymore. And they've only really opened it maybe 2-3 weeks ago. It was the first time we actually had a visit that was a normal visit. He made it to our house for one Friday night dinner. And then we had like one little opening where Bibi said, okay, it's a thing of the past and everybody can do whatever they want. And that was like for Shavuot. So he was at our house for Shavuot, and that was it. I mean, it was really, let's say, 2 visits with us, and the day he moved in, and when he landed, people had already had masks on, and I'm like, oh wow, people have masks on, you know. And so really, it was at the timing was really perfect. I mean, it was difficult. I'm not sure if you move people when they're 89, but he's in good hands, and he's really well taken care of, and he finally eats on a schedule 3 meals a day and takes his meds and yes, I guess when you get to be 89 or 90 and start to take medication on time, it's
I mean, the fact that he like has been pre-diabetic and lived on white bread and sugar for 20 years, it's really unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
I will be in contact with you, Michal, Irit, and Eileen, because I have some.
Thank you so much for doing this.
With the recording.
And I hope that you'll be able to be with him and dance with him sometime.
Well,
we're having actually next week, we're having another get together at his place with 10 vaccinated people or 15 vaccinated people outside on the terrace. We had 2 of them already. And he was so happy. He was so happy when people came.
Tell him how much the people
next week
love him.
It's going to be. Excuse me?
No, I just said that. Tell him how we love him, how much we like.
Oh, of course,
and everything. And
I will tell him.
At some point.
Yes, and in 2 weeks it's going to be Moshiko's dances, so should be fun.
At some point, maybe you could make a little snippet from this particular session and show it to him. Just 5 minutes, little bits and pieces of it, so that
I show him whenever I go, I show him little videos and we show him his dances and we show him camps, and he doesn't have a lot of patience. He never had a lot of patience, but yeah, I show him pictures. I bring him pictures and I show him little videos. Yes.
Nice.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you
this.
for
Thank you
your-
everyone for participating.
Thank you for your time, Eileen, Irit, Michal. Thank you so much. It's
fun.
It's fun to be with all of you. Thanks to the dancer, and be safe.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Good to see
Thanks
you.
a lot. Thanks for sharing the story and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ariane, for doing this. This was very special.
I'm glad, Joni Murray, you could join.
Yes.
Very special.
And thanks, Murray, for the sharing with us, and Helen, and thank you, and Eva, and thanks, Eileen.
Thank you,
Bye.
Ariane.
Bye,
Nice to
John.
meet you this way.
Thanks, Eileen.
Great.
We'll stop in your kitchen again soon.
Everybody's welcome.
And we want that list of rejected. We want the list of
We're
rejected
ready to come.
dances too.
Eileen, for sharing with us the story and everything. And
Thank you for doing this, Ariane. I hope I hope it honors Moshe, and I hope he gets to see this, and I hope it honors him in the way he deserves to be honored.
it's
Do you speak Hebrew? No. I did speak Hebrew. No. That's my better job.
Moshe can speak English. Oh my God.
English?
Yeah.
Now you have to know the language. You have to know communication. English okay? Hebrew okay. English surprise. Now you can't be smart in this game. You have to be straight and honest and don't hurt me. Now, make no problem. Be McBean. Be McBean.
Parallel, put your legs in the...
Your chair. Stay as far as you can.
I'm going to position your legs. Close your legs.
Okay, we know.
I said again, don't play smart. I'm going to help you. Come on.
Don't fall for it.
I'm from the IRS. I'm here to help you.
Now, I would like you, I'm going to be affixing. And at the same time, don't do anything. I will touch you here, and you hit my hand. Okay?
But sorry, don't break it.
Tell them Hebrew.
No.
You swing the shoe.
I'll fix my shoe.
Like that,
Okay,
between
now.
you guys.
When I touch you here, you hit my hand.
No, with the shoe. You go like this.
I said don't play smart. He wasn't smart.
I'll keep the
David, between the chairs. Yeah. Really gotta be one man. Special edition.
Higher.
Hebrew.
No.
Up your hand. Up your hand.
I'm ask you if you understand English, you have to explain something to me.
Okay.
If you don't understand, you're going to have to. I paid him his salary already.
Ask the Romanian.
אני מתקן את הנעל פה, ואתה פה כשאני...
He's telling the English speaker in Hebrew and the English speaker in English.
He speaks Hebrew good.
Oh, okay. מה זה כן באוויר?
אז למה אמרת להעביר? תגיד להם.
Try it out. This is your area here. This is your area. Come on, move it. Yes. Other part. Yeah. Once again. Higher.
Never don't put your head down.
David.
The reflexes are the first to go.
When I'm here, you don't touch. That's your right hand. It's like.